My name is John. I'm 42 years old now, but when I think back to my early life, it feels like a completely different world. One filled with shadows, confusion, and pain. I grew up in a home where love was scarce, and violence was the language we spoke. My parents, both broken in their own ways, took out their anger and frustration on each other and sometimes on me. I was the child who never seemed to fit in anywhere, always feeling like I was walking on eggshells, always waiting for the next blow to fall. As I got older, I stopped expecting love. I learned to expect hurt, betrayal, and disappointment. But there was one thing I craved more than anything: control. I wanted to feel like I could take hold of something in my life. So I began searching for something that would fill the hole inside me. Little did I know, I was about to find something much darker than I ever anticipated.
Hello, and welcome to this powerful testimony. We're so glad you're here today. You're about to hear a life-changing story of how someone found freedom, peace, and healing through the love of Jesus Christ. But before we go into this, take a moment to engage with us by liking the video and letting us know where you're watching from the comments. We love hearing from you. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you never miss another life-changing testimony. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family. And hey, if this testimony makes you believe in the power of God, share your own testimony with us. We want to hear how God is working in your life too.
It wasn't long before I came across the world of New Age thinking, with its promises of power and purpose. I was skeptical at first, of course. A lot of it seemed like nonsense, stuff that people who had too much time on their hands came up with. But the more I delved in, the more I realized that this wasn't just random chatter. These ideas had a magnetic pull, a kind of quiet certainty that seemed to make sense in a way nothing else had. They told me I could control my own destiny. I could take power from the universe. I could be more than what I was, more than the scared, broken boy who had been abandoned by his parents. And then came Freemasonry. If I'm honest, I don't even remember exactly how I got involved. It wasn't a decision that felt all that big at the time. It was more like an invitation I couldn't ignore. The people seemed genuine. They spoke of brotherhood, of building power together, of finding your true purpose. They told me that I could be someone respected, someone powerful. And in a world where I had felt invisible for so long, it was tempting. The deeper I went, the more I felt like I was becoming part of something meaningful. They gave me answers when I needed them most, and they made me feel like I wasn't just another lost soul. But there was a catch, wasn't there? They don't tell you about the price of power. They don't tell you that the further you go, the darker it gets. They don't tell you about the things you'll be forced to accept, the things you'll have to do, the things that start to gnaw at your soul. At first, it felt like I had control over everything, but over time, I began to realize that I wasn't controlling anything at all. The more I gave into their teachings, the more I felt like I was losing myself, my real self. It was as though I had opened a door to a room filled with lies, and once I stepped inside, there was no easy way out. The promises of power slowly began to feel like chains, dragging me deeper into something I didn't understand, something that scared me more than anything in my life. I thought I could handle it. After all, I had survived everything up to that point, right? But no one warned me how far gone I'd become before I realized I was trapped. No one warned me that the darkness wasn't something you just played with. It wasn't something you could simply control. Controlled you. And it was then, at the lowest point of my life, when I felt more empty than I'd ever felt, that I finally reached out for help. As I sank further into that dark pit, the emptiness inside me seemed to scream louder each day. But there was something else, something I didn't expect. I was drawn to it like a moth to a flame. The New Age stuff, the talk of cosmic energy, universal power, and self-mastery, it was all seductive in a way I couldn't ignore. They said I could control my destiny, tap into forces bigger than myself, and transcend the limitations that had held me back for years. It felt like a secret that I was lucky enough to be let in on. I'd always felt like I was on the outside looking in, watching people live their lives with purpose and power while I stumbled through mine, trying to survive. The New Age community, with its promises of enlightenment and control, seemed to offer me the key to a life I had always dreamed of, one where I could finally stop feeling like a failure. I remember the first time I heard someone talk about it in a way that made my skin tingle. They spoke about energy, how everything in the universe was connected by these unseen forces. All I had to do was tap into them. They made it sound so simple, right? They talked about crystals that could align your vibrations, and chants that would awaken your true power. To be honest, I was skeptical at first. But the more I listened, the more it all started to make sense. It was as if these ideas filled in the gaps where I had no answers, gave me explanations for the chaos in my life. It wasn't just some self-help nonsense, it was real. I started looking into Freemasonry after that. It wasn't long before I met people who were deep into it, people who had this calm confidence that I had never seen before. They spoke like they had unlocked some kind of secret to the universe. Of course, they didn't tell you everything up front. There were layers. They introduced it slowly, like peeling back a veil, just enough to make you crave more. You're here because you were meant to be. You've been chosen, they'd tell me, and I bought it. I wanted to believe it so badly. Because deep down, I still thought if I could just belong somewhere, maybe the pain of my past would start to fade. And it worked at first. The rituals, the symbols, the handshakes, I thought they were just formalities, meaningless gestures that bonded me with others who were on the same path. But as I climbed higher, the truth began to take shape. The symbols weren't just for show. They represented power, and the more I understood them, the more I was sucked in. I was given access to knowledge, wisdom, things that were meant to remain hidden from ordinary people. And it felt good. Better than good. It felt like I was finally in control of something. I remember the first time I participated in a deeper ceremony, one that took me to a place I hadn't seen before. The room was dim, filled with people in robes, chanting in a language that felt ancient and foreign. The air was thick with the scent of incense, and I could almost feel the energy in the room vibrating against my skin. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was just existing. I felt like I was part of something powerful, something that would make all my broken pieces fit together. But here's the thing they don't tell you, it's all a lie. All of it. The power they promised you is empty, hollow. The more I leaned into it, the more it took from me. I thought I had control, but really I was just feeding into a system that was draining me slowly but surely. I was surrounded by people who thought they had the answers, but they were just as lost as I was. There's nothing glamorous about it. It's a desperate chase for something that doesn't exist, a never-ending search for meaning in a place where there is none. And no matter how much you get, it's never enough. You're always left wanting more. I didn't see it at the time, but looking back, I realized how deeply I was being manipulated. I wasn't awakening anything in myself. I was losing myself, piece by piece, until I didn't know who I was anymore. The promises of control and power were just a shiny shell, and underneath, it was all darkness. And that's when I knew, in the pit of my soul, that I had made a terrible mistake. As I got deeper into this world, I started to realize something that I couldn't ignore anymore. The more I gave myself to it, the more I lost touch with reality. At first, it was all this promise of power, like some cosmic buffet where you could just take what you wanted: enlightenment, strength, purpose. It seemed harmless at first, like an escape from the chaos of my life. But the deeper I went, the more I could feel something dark wrapping around me, squeezing tighter with every new secret I learned. The ceremonies grew more intense. The chants, the symbols, the rituals, they weren't just for show anymore. They weren't some mystical game. This was real. I could feel it. At first, it was like a rush of energy, like stepping into a different dimension where you were more than just a man, you were part of something greater. But that feeling didn't last long. Soon the rituals started feeling like chains, heavy, suffocating, and unbreakable. They weren't just ceremonies, they were commands, like a binding agreement that I hadn't fully understood when I'd signed up. I remember the first time I felt truly afraid. I was in a ceremony, sitting in a dimly lit room, surrounded by others who were chanting in unison. Their voices seemed to reverberate in my chest, and I felt this weight, this pressure, like the room itself was closing in on me. The energy wasn't the same. It wasn't life-giving anymore. It was like I was swimming in darkness, and every breath I took felt harder than the last. That's when I knew. This wasn't about enlightenment. It wasn't about power. It was about control. The deeper I went, the more I realized I wasn't gaining control, I was losing it. And the more I fought to break free, the tighter that grip became. I started having nightmares. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, heart pounding like something, or someone, was standing over me watching me. I could feel eyes on me all the time, even when no one was around. The voices from the ceremonies echoed in my mind, relentless, demanding. They weren't just whispers, they were commands pulling at the very core of me, telling me what I had to do, where I had to go, how I had to live. It was like I wasn't even in control of my own thoughts anymore. And here's the kicker. I still couldn't get out. It wasn't just fear that held me in, it was the promise. The promise that I'd been told over and over again. You have to follow through. You're not just part of a group anymore, you're part of something bigger than yourself. The idea that I could never leave, that I was in too deep, began to feel like a prison. A beautiful, gilded prison, but a prison all the same. I started questioning everything. Was this the life I'd signed up for? To be shackled to a system that fed off my every insecurity and fear? Was this really the power I had craved? Because it sure didn't feel like power anymore. It felt like a slow, painful destruction of everything I had hoped for, everything I had believed in. But I was too far gone to see a way out. I felt like I was sinking in quicksand, and every attempt to free myself only pulled me deeper. And that's when I realized, this wasn't just about secrets or symbols. This was spiritual warfare. I had stepped into a world I didn't understand, and it wasn't just pulling me into darkness, it was trying to own me. I wasn't free. I was trapped. I had hit rock bottom. And when I say rock bottom, I mean the kind of bottom where you can't see any way out, where it feels like the darkness has swallowed everything good in your life, and all you have left is the weight of your own mistakes. It wasn't just a bad day or a rough week. It was a complete breakdown of everything I thought I knew about myself, about the world, about life. I had been drowning for so long that I didn't even realize how far down I had gone until the air was too thin to breathe. At this point, I was in deep. Deeper than I'd ever imagined I'd go. I thought I could control it, thought I could control them. But I couldn't. The occult had a way of twisting things, making me believe I was the one holding the strings, when in fact I was being pulled in every direction by forces I couldn't even comprehend. The more I fed into it, the more I lost of myself. My thoughts weren't my own anymore. The rituals, the symbols, the chants, they were like a constant buzz in my head, whispering things I didn't understand, filling me with fear, with doubt, with hopelessness. And then the nightmares started. They weren't just bad dreams. They were real. I woke up in a cold sweat, feeling like something was watching me, like there was something in the room, something in me trying to claw its way out. Every night was the same: darkness, shadows, voices. I'd wake up gasping for air, shaking, only to find the silence in the room suffocating me. I couldn't even escape in my sleep anymore. The walls, the people around me, they all felt like they were closing in. I was losing touch with reality, and I had no idea how to stop it. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at the walls in the dark, trying to figure out what had gone wrong. How did I get here? I'd been searching for answers, right? I'd been looking for something more, something that would give me power, something that would finally make me feel whole. And yet here I was, broken, afraid, lost. The very thing I'd thought would save me was the thing that had destroyed me. And in that moment, I realized I had no one to blame but myself. I had fallen for every lie, every promise of power, every word that told me I could control the universe. But now, I could barely control my own mind. I felt trapped. And what's worse, I felt like I deserved it. Like I was too far gone to be saved, like I had crossed some line I couldn't uncross. My mind was a battlefield, and I didn't know how much longer I could keep fighting. There was no peace in my thoughts, no peace in my heart. Every direction I turned, I felt more and more entangled, deeper in the web of lies and fear I had spun around myself. But I couldn't keep living like this. I had to do something. I didn't know where to turn, didn't know who could help me. But I knew one thing: I was done. I had hit the bottom, and the only way out was to look up. It didn't matter how far gone I was or how lost I felt. There had to be something, someone who could help me. There had to be more to life than this prison I had built for myself. And that's when I realized that maybe, just maybe, the thing I had been running from was the thing I needed most. I had reached a point where I couldn't go any lower. I had tried everything to fix myself. Nothing worked. The occult, the rituals, the promises of power, they all seemed empty now. I was exhausted, broken, and stuck. I had no idea what was left for me. I had never been so desperate in my life. And that was the moment, the exact moment that I felt it. A shift. I remember it clearly, even though it feels like a dream now. It was late at night, and I was sitting on the floor of my apartment, alone, in the middle of a mental breakdown. My head was pounding, my thoughts racing, and I just wanted to escape, to end it all. I had nothing left to fight for. I felt like a shell of a person trapped in my own mind. But as I sat there, I don't know how to explain it, but I felt something different. It was like the weight of the world lifted off my shoulders just a little. At first, I thought it was just a break from the madness. Maybe I was finally losing it completely. But then it happened again. A presence. Gentle but unmistakable. It was like something or someone was right beside me, so close I could feel it, but I couldn't see it. There was no voice, no booming command. Just a stillness, a calm. And in that stillness, for the first time in years, I felt peace. It wasn't the empty peace that the occult had promised me. No, this was something real, something pure. I didn't know what it was, but I could feel it filling the cracks in my soul. It didn't make sense, and I wasn't sure if I was just imagining it. I had spent so much time searching for meaning in dark places that it was hard to accept this light. But the more I sat there, the more the presence stayed. And that's when I heard it. It wasn't loud, but it was clear. A voice not of this world, whispering in my ear, "You're not alone." I am here. I'll be honest, at first I thought I was losing my mind. I had spent so much time with the occult and their dark rituals that hearing something like that seemed impossible. But there was something in that voice, something I couldn't ignore. It wasn't threatening. It wasn't pushing me. It was kind. It made me feel seen, like I wasn't just another lost soul wandering in darkness. I didn't know who or what it was, but I wanted to know more. I needed to know more. At that moment, I dropped to my knees without even thinking. I just did it. It wasn't planned, but it felt like the most natural thing in the world. I had been bowing to everything else, hidden powers, false gods, but this felt different. This was the first time I had ever knelt out of humility, not out of fear or obedience to some ritual. I wasn't asking for more power or control, I was asking for freedom. I didn't know who I was praying to, but in that moment I didn't care. I was desperate. "Please," I whispered, "I need help." And in an instant, it was like a floodgate opened. Peace. Real peace. Like a warm, comforting light that spread from the inside out, filling every corner of my soul. I can't explain it any better than that. It was so overwhelming, so pure, that it made everything I had been chasing before seem so small, so hollow. All the promises of power I had sought felt like childish fantasies compared to the depth of the peace I was now experiencing. But there was something else. Something more that I couldn't ignore. As the peace settled, I felt something else, something sharp and painful: my sin. The weight of everything I had done, everything I had chosen, everything I had walked through to get to this point. All the lies I had believed, the people I had hurt, the years I had wasted, it all came crashing down on me. It hurt. It hurt so much I wanted to run from it. But there was no escaping it. For the first time I saw myself fully and completely. And it wasn't pretty. But here's the thing. In that moment, in that raw, painful realization, there was no condemnation. No judgment. There was forgiveness. A grace I couldn't comprehend, but one that I knew was real. The voice whispered again, this time louder, clearer, as if it was speaking directly to my soul. "I forgive you. You are free." And that was it. That was the moment. In the middle of my darkest hour, when I had nothing left, I found everything I had been searching for. Not in the occult, not in rituals, not in power, but in grace, in forgiveness, in the love of God. I don't know how to explain it fully. I wish I could tell you it was some grand revelation, some miraculous event that made everything in my life suddenly perfect. But that's not how it happened. It wasn't about my circumstances changing overnight. It was about the change that happened within me. The peace, the forgiveness, the weight lifted. The love of God was something I had never known existed, but once I felt it, I knew I'd never be the same. In that moment, I knew the chains had been broken. I wasn't a prisoner anymore. I was free. And nothing would ever feel the same again. It's funny, isn't it? How you can go through life feeling like you're a wreck, like you're so far gone that nothing can pull you out, and then, just when you think you've hit the lowest point, when you're barely holding on, something changes. But it wasn't some big miracle. It wasn't an overnight transformation. It wasn't like I woke up one day and my life was perfect. No, it was something far simpler, yet infinitely more profound. When I gave my life to Christ, it was like I'd been handed a second chance. And I didn't deserve it, not for a second. I had lived a life of selfishness, lies, and darkness. But suddenly, I wasn't fighting to control everything anymore. I wasn't chasing the next high, the next piece of knowledge, the next ritual that promised to give me power. No, now I was fighting to let go. I was fighting to embrace something new, something that wasn't about me at all. I remember waking up the morning after I had surrendered to Christ. It wasn't like some Hollywood scene with the sun shining brighter, the birds singing in unison, and angels singing in the background. No, the world looked exactly the same. But I wasn't the same. It was like I could breathe again. The weight I had been carrying for so long, the guilt, the shame, the constant fear, it was gone. Just like that. I felt lighter, like I had stepped out of a fog I hadn't even realized I was living in. But the real work began right then, living with that peace, holding on to it when everything else seemed to be pulling me back into my old habits. The world didn't just magically get better. I still had the scars from my past. I still had the baggage, the broken relationships, and the consequences of the things I had done. But I realized something that shocked me. I didn't have to fix everything on my own anymore. Christ didn't just forgive me, He gave me the strength to forgive myself. The first few days after my decision to follow Him were a blur. I spent hours praying, reading the Bible, just letting the truth of His love and grace sink in. I remember thinking, is this really for me? Can I really be forgiven for all the things I've done? And every time those doubts crept in, God reminded me that His grace was bigger than anything I had done. I could feel it deep in my soul. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Just because you're saved doesn't mean life becomes easy. It's not like all of a sudden, everything falls into place. The temptation to go back to my old ways was still there. Every day I had to choose again. Choose to turn away from the lies I had built my life around. Choose to stop seeking control and power where I knew I'd never find it. And honestly, it was hard. Really hard. There were moments when I felt like I had nothing left. My old habits were still calling to me, pulling me back into familiar patterns. But there was one thing that was different now. I had Christ. And no matter how many times I stumbled, no matter how many times I messed up, He was there, lifting me up. Slowly I began to feel the chains breaking. Slowly I started to see myself differently. I wasn't the person I had been anymore. I wasn't a slave to my past or my fears. I was free. But the restoration didn't just happen in me. It started to ripple outward. I began to rebuild relationships I had ruined, starting with the most important one, my relationship with myself. For the first time in my life, I didn't look in the mirror and see a failure. I saw someone loved, someone chosen. But it wasn't easy. I had to face the consequences of my actions, the damage I'd done. But I wasn't alone. Christ was with me through every painful step. I also began to see the world differently. Where I had once been obsessed with gaining more power, more knowledge, I now saw the beauty in simplicity. I realized that true strength wasn't in control, it was in surrender. True peace wasn't in knowing everything, it was in trusting that God knew better. And that trust, that surrender started to heal the brokenness in my life. I could look at the people I had hurt, and instead of seeing a mountain of shame, I saw a possibility for redemption. I'm not perfect and I never will be, but I'm free. And that's something I never thought I'd have again. A new life in Christ isn't about perfect circumstances or a perfect self. It's about the grace to move forward even when you're not sure how. It's about learning to live each day knowing that you don't have to do it alone anymore. Looking back now, I can't help but laugh at how ridiculous it seems that I thought power was in control, that I thought I could make it all on my own. Now, I know the real strength comes from surrendering it all to God. It's funny, isn't it? The moment you give up trying to hold everything together is the moment everything actually comes together. So here I am. A new person. Not perfect but redeemed. Not just surviving anymore but living. And for the first time in my life I can honestly say I'm at peace with who I am. I'm at peace with my past because I know that it's not my story that defines me anymore. It's God's story. And He's still writing it. I'll be honest with you, I've been there. I've walked the path that leads nowhere, the road that promises control but leaves you empty, cold, and desperate. I chased after all the wrong things, thinking they'd fill the void inside of me. I followed the lies, hoping they'd lead me to something real, something that would finally make me feel whole. But the truth is, all those promises were just traps, carefully designed to keep me lost. So, I'm telling you this because I don't want you to make the same mistake I did. If you're caught up in the lies of the occult, in the promises of power, of control, let me tell you something, it's all an illusion. It's a game, a twisted game that'll keep you running in circles until you're so far gone, you don't even know how to get back. I thought I was controlling my destiny, that I was some enlightened being. But what I didn't realize was that I was actually letting darkness control me, and it was dragging me down faster than I could keep up. If you're still stuck in that world, I need you to hear me, there is a way out. I don't care how deep you've gone, how far you've fallen. If I can be pulled out of that pit, so can you. Don't let anyone tell you that you're too far gone, that you've crossed some line you can't come back from. That's a lie. I was lost. I was broken. But Christ in His mercy found me. And I'm here to tell you that He can find you too. You don't have to keep running, pretending that the next ritual, the next secret, the next power will fix you. It won't. It'll just keep you running in circles, farther from the truth. You might think you're in control, but you're not. And the longer you stay on that path, the harder it will be to see the light when it finally comes. But if you open your eyes, if you take a step back, you'll see that Christ has been waiting for you all along. He's not asking you to be perfect. He's not asking you to have it all together. He's just asking you to turn to Him. And trust me when I say this, the peace that comes with His love, the peace that comes with knowing you are truly forgiven, is like nothing you've ever felt before. It's not a temporary high. It's not a fleeting moment of escape. It's real. It's deep. And it's enough to fill the emptiness inside of you, no matter how much you've tried to fill it with other things. I know what it feels like to be empty, to be desperate, to feel like there's no way out. But there is. There is always a way back, and that way is through Christ. You don't have to keep pretending. You don't have to keep searching in all the wrong places. God is waiting for you with open arms, offering you a new life. A life that's free from the lies, from the chains, from the fear. He doesn't want to control you. He wants to set you free. So if you're ready to make a change, if you're ready to stop running and start living, I want you to take that step. Don't wait until you've hit rock bottom like I did. You don't need to go through all that pain and suffering. There is no shame in admitting that you need help. There is no shame in turning to God. There's only freedom. I'm telling you this because I don't want you to wait until it's too late. I don't want you to keep living in darkness when there's light waiting for you. It's never too late to turn things around. It's never too late to choose freedom over control, love over fear, truth over lies. You're not alone in this. Christ is waiting, and He's ready to show you what real peace looks like.
Wow, what a powerful story. If this testimony touched you in any way, don't just sit there. Take action. Leave a prayer in the comments. Share your own testimony, or just say thank you to God for what He's done. I know life can get busy, but if you've watched this far and haven't subscribed yet, ask yourself why. It's okay if you don't subscribe. Maybe you're not fully walking with Jesus just yet. Maybe you're still searching for answers, and that's okay. But think about it. Subscribing means you believe in God's power, that you're opening your heart to His miracles. So, if this testimony moved you, if you're ready to say, I believe, hit that subscribe button and share this video with someone else who needs to hear this. Don't just scroll past. Engage, and let's keep spreading God's love together.
If you're ready, if you're tired of pretending and ready to accept the love and forgiveness that's been waiting for you, then I want you to take that step today. Reach out to God. Ask Him to take the darkness away and fill you with His light. He's already there. You just have to invite Him in. I'm living proof that no one is too far gone. No matter where you've been or what you've done, you are not beyond redemption. You don't have to keep running. Christ is waiting for you, and He's offering you a life you can't even begin to imagine. Take the step. You won't regret it.